Right. And the bottom line is, if you're talking to 11 million people every time you do a podcast, you have a responsibility. And if you're the company that's paying for it, it's on you. And he gets a Spotify paycheck. And so it's on them. It's part of their brand now that they are the ones who are publishing this stuff. They are profiting off it, and it is hurting people. And it's their responsibility, and it's their brand.
So I want to play a clip. Joe Rogan goes on his podcast and defends Sam Seder when he's fired from MSNBC.
No.
Talk about like no good deed goes unpunished.
No way.
Okay.
No
Sam
way.
Seder. This is like some fucking fake Shakespearean. This is so ridiculous. You wouldn't think of it in like exists in reality. Sam Seder gets fired, gets canceled for a tweet from MSNBC. Joe Rogan defends him. Then a few years later, Sam Seder goes back on MSNBC to try to cancel Joe Rogan.
Just to peel the curtain back here, Sam, like we do a podcast called Why Is This Happening? Comes out every Tuesday, and it gets like fact checked and it goes through standards. And when we first started doing that, I was like, oh my God, we're fact checking a podcast. It's like, well, yeah, we're fact checking a podcast because the podcast is the product that we put out in the world.
How the fuck did his show get through the fact check?
What was the name of the podcast? See if they have a Kyle Rittenhouse episode. That'd be pretty interesting.
We've listened to some on stream before.
Oh, we have his podcast? Oh, yeah, we
I don't
have.
remember who it was.
Yeah, we did his show.
But I think it was he had an Ezra Klein one or something. I don't remember, something like that.
Yeah. These people don't understand the essence of fact checking. They really don't. They have no concept of how truth is assembled in the normal world. Right.
Things we say and it should be true. And there's some level like you want to be like, oh, we're just having a conversation. It's like, well, if you say things that aren't true, like you put that out into the world. That's the way this works.
Yeah, and I say this as someone who most of my best friends are comedians, and so there is this sense that because I'm not a journalist, that I don't have the same responsibility, and this can be deployed in more or less malevolent ways. This is what Limbaugh used to say: "I'm just an entertainer. You can't take me seriously."
When we say it's just a comedy show, people give us a hard time too, but I do take it seriously.
I give you a hard time.
Yeah, well, other people do too. It's just, we definitely take it seriously. We want to get the facts right. And if we don't, you guys are screaming in the comments section. And I thank you for doing it. I honestly do and man, our audience gives us tons of leads on things that I read that are completely fascinating. They give us leads on stories. Yeah. They have such a different business model. Maybe Sam Seder, because he is online. I don't know how much he interacts with his audience. I guess he does do a call-in show, but yeah.
So here is the summary for Chris Hayes' December 21st show.
Okay. Fascinating.
The right-wing descent into darkness continues as the glorification of violence by the way of Kyle Rittenhouse and what it means for this country.
Oh, yeah. I remember. We covered him.
This is what we covered. Yes.
What a bastard.
This was the one where he compared them to Columbine. So.
What a bastard. What a bastard. They fact-checked that. Get out of here. Get out of town. Yeah. You've got your fact-checkers are a bunch of yes men that don't want to say no to the boss. Ridiculous.
Right. And the bottom line is, if you're talking to 11 million people every time you do a podcast, you have a responsibility. And if you're the company that's paying for it, it's on you. And he gets a Spotify paycheck. And so it's on them. It's part of their brand now that they are the ones who are publishing this stuff. They are profiting off it, and it is hurting people. And it's their responsibility, and it's their brand.
And the other thing about
where are all the dead bodies? What's going on? Who's getting hurt? Who's all?
Listen, you know who's getting hurt? Sam Seder. He is getting hurt every time he looks in his bank account and does not see $100 million check from Spotify. Okay, it hurts him a little bit every day. He clicks on his bank account, doesn't see that $100 million check, and he's like, "What? Aren't I good enough?"
Disappointing.
Spotify.
Disappointing. If I was Joe Rogan, it would be impossible for me to resist going on and telling my 11 million followers You know, Sam Cedar's a big fat liar. I wouldn't believe a word he said.
Oh, don't worry. You're gonna get even more upset at Sam after this video.
Really? Oh my God. He, how? I mean, you have a tighter ethical core than me, I think. I think maybe I could be more flexible in certain situations.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Well, I feel that it would be justice would be served to go on my 11 million follower show and say Sam Cedar's full of shit. He's a liar. You shouldn't believe anything he says. I feel like that would be justice. I feel
it would only help Sam Cedar though.
I feel like that would be ethical. That would be the ethical thing to do.
It would only
Maybe
help
not.
Sam Cedar
I don't
though.
know.
Because then all the people that don't like Joe Rogan would rush to go watch Sam Cedar.
Oh, you're right. Joe Rogan knows. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows.
He wants him to just linger in obscurity. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
About it too is like you can just talk about stuff that doesn't matter that much. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing. You can just choose to like talk about comedy or talk about like
he's in over his.
Don't you dare talk about my subject matter, Joe Rogan. Leave the news to professionals like me, the professional liars here on the mainstream media, and also on the alternative media like Sam Cedar.
Yeah.
There's just liars everywhere.
This is what he says here.
Liars and phonies everywhere.
He's in over his head.
Yeah.
Just fucking shut the fuck up.
I know.
This guy who, I mean, you remember Sam Cedar did like a bait and switch with Ethan Klein from H3H3 to talk to Steven Crowder. Yeah. This is the guy that's going to tell somebody who's in over their head. It's like, come on, you have to literally lie to people just to get them to talk to you. I think you might be in over your head. Okay. I mean, we're not lying to people to get them on our fucking show. Okay. Lying is not good. Tell the truth, Sam Cedar, or at least don't lie.
His head.
Right. Talk about stuff that doesn't matter that much. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing. You can just choose to like talk about comedy or talk about like.
I forgot about this. I made a video like 2 years ago. That was this crazy clip. I totally forgot about this.
About Sam Cedar?
Yeah, where Sam Cedar was basically like, in order to stop misinformation, just fuck YouTube. Like, just destroy YouTube, like as a platform.
Oh. Is it on this channel?
It is.
Okay. We'll have to put a link to it in the description.
I don't want to watch myself. It's terrifying.
Let's bring it up next.
Like,
no.
He's in over his head.
Right,
on some
that's
level.
the thing.
And that's the bottom line. He's in over his head. He doesn't realize it. He's making too much money for them to tell him. And that's the bottom line. I mean, today he tweeted out, sort of gloriously, this AP story about ivermectin in a study from Japan. Well, 20 minutes later, the AP corrected its headline, and you never heard from him again about it. And so, this is a problem, and he doesn't want to take responsibility for it, and Spotify doesn't want to take responsibility for it, but someone's to blame.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice.
You know about ivermectin? The thing.
I know what he's talking about, if that's what you're referring to.
So ivermectin is something that gets rid of parasites. I think that's what it was made for. I don't know.
It's horse paste, Adam.
No.
Only give it to horses. Why are you taking that horse medicine?
So there's conflicting studies on ivermectin because evidently in places where the population has a high load of parasites, those parasites can interfere with your recovery from COVID. So the ivermectin isn't directly affecting the COVID, but it's killing off all the parasites that hamper your recovery. So evidently that's why there's different results in different places. But no one on this, can't we talk about ivermectin intelligently? Do we have to be complete fucking idiots? Can't we? There is news that's being developed around ivermectin.
This is a news channel, Adam. Everything must be discussed in the most hyperbolic, tribalistic way possible.
if you have parasites in your body, you're going to be taking ivermectin. Okay, it's not fucking horse. Well, it is horse dewormer, because if horses have parasites, they give it to them too.
There you go.
So ridiculous. These people, drives me insane.
I think just to live in a world where like you don't have to worry if everything you said is true, like that would be like
That is the world you live in, you fucking dumbass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at that smug little ha 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 ha. I've been lying about Kyle Rittenhouse for 6 months.
That's what's so disgusting, is that they're acting like they're so above Joe Rogan in a moral, virtuous sense.
Yeah.
It's literally the opposite.
Totally the opposite. Yeah. A bunch of big fat liars.
less onerous, but that's bad. This is the, we're all grown-ups here, and we all have responsibility, including these two people, Michelle Goldberg and Sam Seder. Thank you both.
Oh.
Gross.
Awful. Terrible.
So I want to play a clip. It's like 5 minutes.
Did you do that thumbnail?
No, but that's the YouTube choosing the perfect spot. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Here's such a bad person Joe Rogan is. Okay? Joe Rogan goes on his podcast and defends Sam Seder when he's fired from MSNBC.
No.
Talk about like no good deed goes unpunished.
No way.
Okay.
No
Sam
way.
Seder. This is like some fucking fake Shakespeare shit. This is so ridiculous. You wouldn't think of it in like exists in reality. Sam Seder gets fired, gets canceled for a tweet from MSNBC. Joe Rogan defends him. Then a few years later, Sam Seder goes back on MSNBC to try to cancel Joe Rogan.
This is you've got it right. This is totally Shakespearean. This completely changes the context of what we just saw. Him being all butthurt about not being able to go on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan literally defending him.
Yep.
Wow.
Imagine working for a television show. I wanted to bring this up. I'm glad we just got to talking about this. Sam Seder got fired yesterday.
I missed this, so clue me in. I just saw someone on Twitter
here's
saying...
the deal. Sam Seder, who's a heavy left-wing fellow who was apparently in some sort of a dispute with the alt-right. I don't know what was going on. I think it was about Roy Moore. Like, it was one of those things. And they pulled up a tweet of his and took it out of context from 2009.
Yeah, that's what I read.
And the tweet was, I'm going to paraphrase it. I don't want to fuck it up. Jamie, pull it up so we can find the exact tweet.
You know that if you paraphrase it, you're going to sound funnier than he would.
Listen, Joe Rogan never cares about the facts. Jamie, can you pull... I don't want to get this wrong. Can you pull that tweet up for me real quick?
I
want
know.
to make sure this is correct.
I know. Let me skip to where they get to the tweet because they kind of talk about bullshit for a while. Okay. Here's the tweet that he put out.
Okay.
It's a picture of it.
Don't care
deleted.
Don't care, R.E. Polanski, but I hope if my daughter is ever raped by an older, truly talented man with a great I hope if my daughter is ever raped, it is by an older, truly talented man with a great sense of mise en scene. Mise en scene.
I don't know.
That's what it
That
is.
tweet.
Here's the...
That tweet got 2 whole likes.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, it's from 2009. Like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't even know Twitter was around in 2009, but that's funny tweet. That's a funny joke.
Yeah. Tosh agrees.
Yeah, but can't say anything like that anymore.
Mise en scene.
We should screenshot
That's
that. And
what it
post
is.
on Twitter.
Here's the part. Here's part of the problem. He deleted this, which he regrets doing, but it's a part of a series of tweets. All of them that criticize people's support of Roman Polanski because Roman Polanski had raped kids, but he did really good films. And he was like, do you know how fucking disgusting that is? He was essentially saying, this is a horrific way to look at this. Like, this guy raped a baby, right? He raped like a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. So this was a part of a series of tweets all expressing this, and that was clearly satire. And MSNBC capitulated, and they fired him. And I don't know him. I know people who do know him, some that like him, you know, and it's I don't have a dog in this fight, but that's crazy. That's crazy. If you look at what the joke was, and then the fact that he deleted it, and then on top of that,
is he apologizing for it?
No, he's not. He's
good.
He's not. What he did was he made a video explaining what the joke was, why he said it, and the fact that it was a part of a series of tweets that he said.
So there you go. All right, we don't have to play the whole thing, but we have Joe Rogan, doesn't know Sam Seder, has no dog in this fight, but just sees something that he thinks is morally wrong, and goes out of his way to not only defend Sam Seder, but to explain the exact context for the situation. Okay, bring up the tweet, explain the context of the situation, and criticize MSNBC. And then Sam Seder, in kindness, responds by saying, well, you know, Joe, fuck you. I'm going to go on MSNBC a couple of years down the road and then knife you in the back and try to get you canceled.
It's very Shakespearean. This is very, et tu Brutus.
It's funny because, there's like the CRT thing, like, the black person who goes against our narrative is selling themselves out to whiteness. This is literally Sam Seder selling himself out to MSNBC.
Yeah, big time.
MSNBC screws him over, and then he turns around and he's like, please have me back on your show, Chris. I'll be good. I want to help you maintain and solidify your power over alternative media. Let me back in the big boys club. I want to be back.
I know. Let me have a show. Look, all your ratings are terrible. It doesn't have to be a good show. Just have me on. I want to hang out. I want to go to the Christmas party.
Listen, I'm like the left-wing version of Joe Rogan. Okay, bring me back. You need your own Joe Rogan.
When I listen to these left-wing podcasts, it's just, they're so in this ideological bubble. It's just,
I know.
It drives me insane.
I know.
Let's listen to a little bit more because I want to hear the context.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. Once that fucking outrage machine, I was just asked if I regret my tweet from 2009. I regret laziness led me to delete it. I would never regret criticizing rape apologists. And I agree with that.
Fantastic.
I don't know Sam Seder.
I don't either, but I know that he could probably start a podcast and make a decent living and not have to work.
You're wrong. You're very wrong.
Work for someone who's going to fire him.
Well, I think he has his own show, Minority Report, right? Isn't that his own show?
Minority Report. Majority Report. But they all of their podcasts, all of their podcast titles are about covering up for their inequities in their philosophy. Like Sam Seder calls his show The Majority Report. You ain't got no majority. You're fucking communist, okay? 5% of the population wants communism, okay? They're all lazy pieces of shit, okay? That's your audience. Ain't no majority, okay? Majority report of what, right? You've got David Dole is the rational national. National? You hate fucking America. What the fuck are you talking about? And
he belongs to the nation of rationality, okay?
You ain't rational either, dude. You're being fucking led around by your elephant 7 days a week. What are you talking about? The rational national. National? Get out of here with that. Get out. They all do this.
What about second thought?
You haven't had a second thought on anything you've ever thought once. No, of course not. You think once and then put the video out. That's what you do.
It's very generous of you to assume that he thinks even once. Okay.
I know. Yeah. There's no deep examination going on.
I mean, there's a reason we were calling his channel No Thought whenever we covered him.
Right. Thought slime is thought crime.
Yep.
He's the only one that's at least a little bit honest in the
He's honest, that's right. He put slimy right in the title.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. With the Young Turks.
I guess that one's honest too, right?
I guess so.
You're putting in racism right in the title.
I guess so.
Is that his own internet show? Because that's what he
Plug it.
Yeah, and and here's the other thing. He had a dispute more than once, I believe, with my good friend Sam Harris, and he accused Sam Harris of being
Name sounds familiar.
Islamophobic. Sam Harris is a neuroscientist.
The guy does that's so right there.
Yes.
Sam Harris is like, what? What?
Oh no, it's like his comedian friend who's like, I don't know, Sam Harris.
Sounds familiar. Who is that guy? Is he that's a loser atheist guy, right?
Some people don't like that term. They don't. He's an author. Has a podcast.
Look at this. Look at this. This is why they never listen to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is worried that he's offended somebody by calling Sam Harris a neuroscientist. What? This is a guy that's going to be a racist? So ridiculous.
He's essentially an intellectual. Very, very, very smart guy. Like one of the smartest guys I ever have on my podcast.
So what was their beef?
Sam Harris believes that all ideologies are inherently dangerous and Islam is very problematic. And many people...
Okay, we don't have to go into this. This
No, but
is
so
way off
you're
topic,
right.
but-
He talks about how Sam Seder attacks Sam Harris, calling him an Islamophobe because Sam Seder is ultra woke.
Yeah.
And so even so this just really shows you the moral gumption, okay, of Joe Rogan. Even when his friend Sam Harris is being attacked by Sam Seder, this slimy piece of shit, calling him an Islamophobe, he still defends Sam Seder because he thinks Sam is in the right in this specific situation.
Right.
He thinks
Yeah.
that the situation is ridiculous.
That's enlightened centrism right there.
Right. So just compare the moral virtues of Joe Rogan to Sam Seder. And it's so clear. It's so clear who is the paragon in the situation.
This is
Who
why
should
you
be
have,
followed.
Yeah, this is why you have 11 million people listening to him. They know this stuff.
They know.
We are human beings. We can see right through the bullshit. The only people who can't see through the bullshit are watching MSNBC and Sam Seder. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.